storms as well.
No surprise.
Nope. Let's find out what's coming up at 6 now. We know what the weather's going to do. What's the news going to do? John has the answer.
Jim, we're going to tell you about a cleanup beginning at an idle power plant in Pleasant Hill. Now, there's a controversy over who's responsible for the contamination. We'll have details. And deer poaching has become big business in Iowa, so there's a crackdown underway. We'll have these stories and the rest of the news in 1/2 hour.
Okay, thanks, John.
Finally today, he probably has his own top 10 list of reasons why he wants to leave us here at NBC.
The top dog on late-night TV, David Letterman, isn't a happy man. Letterman says he's leaving NBC and will begin negotiations with other network bidders after Labor Day. The magazine Advertising Age says that Letterman was hurt by NBC's decision to give The Tonight Show to Jay Leno. Well, if Letterman goes to ABC as rumored, his competition with Leno will reach new heights, I'm sure.
They've been talking about him going to ABC now for about a year and a half. At least.
So this is just something new again today, I guess.
Now apparently something concrete. He's going to start courting other suitors here with the networks.
That's too bad.
Coming up on tomorrow's Live at 5, friends and classmates continue their search for Tammy Zawicki. They'll be holding a candlelight vigil tomorrow morning.
Also at 5, the entertainment report and Gary Amble with the weather forecast.
Time now for Nightly News. Have a good night. See you here tomorrow.
Good night.
President Bush returns to the devastation of Hurricane Andrew, promising more help. Bill Clinton returns to the campaign trail, making his case on health care. And on America Close Up, the dangers of Los Alamos, where the bomb was born.
This is NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw. Tonight, sitting in for Tom is Stone Phillips.
Good evening. George Bush went to Florida and Louisiana today for a second look at the damage caused by Hurricane Andrew and to do some political damage control. After the president's first visit last week, he was criticized for being quick to seize a photo opportunity but slow to deliver federal aid. The president will go on television tonight to report on the relief effort. NBC's John Cochran has more now from the White House. John?
Stone, the hurricane victims wanted more than just a pep talk, so the president gave them more than that.
Bush could have walked into the eye of his own personal hurricane if he had run into victims angry and frustrated with the federal relief effort. Instead, Bush even won some applause when he reassured the worried residents of Homestead that the devastated air base and its payroll will be back.
Today I'm announcing that we are committed to rebuilding Homestead Air Force Base.
State officials had also worried that they would be unable to pay their share of the billions of dollars of eligible claims not covered by private insurance. Usually, the federal government pays only 75%. Not this time. This time, the feds will pick up the entire tab.
The federal assistance that I've authorized today represents an extraordinary and very appropriate response to this human tragedy.
In Louisiana, Bush had less to offer. To badly hit sugarcane growers, Bush promised he would not ease import quotas so foreign growers could profit from damaged crops. Some volunteer relief workers thought it was okay for Bush to pay a visit, but they hoped it would be a short one.
We've been unloading trucks and loading trucks all day and just waiting for the president to leave so we can get to work again.
Everything Bush promises costs money. How much? He doesn't know. But with Democratic Governor Edwin Edwards at his side, Bush said he will not get into a bidding war with the Democrats.
No, there's not going to be any bidding war. We'll just cover the bills, cover the responsibilities. That's what we're trying to do.
Let the Republicans win.
Come on, Edwin.
Hurricane Andrew has pointed up the political advantages and disadvantages a president up for re-election has. Last week, he took the heat because of the government's slow response. Today, he handed out things Bill Clinton can only talk about. And tonight, Bush gets free time in prime time to discuss the relief effort. Stone?
Thanks, John. Despite the massive relief effort now underway, progress has been slow. The victims of Hurricane Andrew are realizing that recovery is a long-term proposition. NBC's Robert Hager has the latest from South Florida. Bob?
Stone, the insurance industry said today it expects to pay off 700,000 claims for damages to homes, cars, and businesses. A total of $7.3 billion in damage, and that's just for what was insured. Meantime, this tent city still isn't ready for people to move in.
Tents for 2,000 are up, but troops stood idle today, waiting for electricity and water to be connected.
maybe tomorrow. Florida emergency official David Sloan blamed federal red tape.
It is just incredible that it's taken us 6 days to start putting tents on the ground.
Confusion is widespread. Hundreds wait in lines, sometimes with no clear idea why. Bobby Keller.
And we're trying to get some money. I don't know what the thing is. It's supposed to be money to help us move and get another place and some kind of certificate. But we did this yesterday. We keep doing it. It's just a brain game. Nobody's getting anything.
There are medical problems. This man badly shocked by a live wire. He was airlifted to a hospital in critical condition. And there were scores of cases like that of Simone Boyer, discovered by medics in her apartment, dehydrated, about to pass out. She'd misplaced her heart medicine during the storm.
Blood pressure of 260 over 150.
Boyer was rushed to a field hospital. And everywhere there are painful images of families unwilling to leave the wreckage of their homes. Jack Branch, the roof of his bedroom gone, but he still sleeps in the room on this couch.
They're going to have these tents ready, the tent city.
I'll stay right here.
Why is that?
It's our home. You gotta stay here. I mean, what else are you gonna do?
His mother sleeps inside, her soggy belongings piled in a chair.
If they open these tents, would you go sleep in the tent?
No way.
Why?
This is home. Stay here.
Even though it's badly damaged. But in reality, a lot of people will have no choice because tomorrow authorities are said to be going to go door to door and start condemning the buildings that are most heavily damaged. And some people may have to move into these tent cities. Stone?
Thanks, Bob. The rebuilding after Hurricane Andrew will take an enormous amount of work, just what many people in Florida need these days. The disaster has provided them with the opportunity to do well by doing good. NBC's Bob Dotson has more.
The sound of money. A rich harvest of twisted metal from the hurricane's path. It sparked an aluminum gold rush.
We're helping them out. We're making money.
Leo Brusky and his pals passed up timber cutting this season. Drove down from Rhode Island, filled up their pickup, and made $1,000 in 8 hours. The recycling business is booming.
It looks like junk. And it is junk, but it pays good money.
About $25 an hour. Overnight, Andrew has created 7,000 new jobs rebuilding homes.
The construction industry in South Florida had been caught in a terrible vice. On the one hand, fewer people moving in, and on the other, a deep recession.
18,000 builders were out of work. Vilo Nieves couldn't pay his rent.
In 6 and 7 months. I work in only 3 months.
Now most anyone who can drive a nail is needed full-time.
The entire United States is going to get a boost of some kind because of the products that are going to be needed down here.
As we can get our hands on them, they're gone.
Randall Smalley salvaged 30 trailers from his homestead dealership.
And they're all gone, every one of them.
Smalley's just ordered another $3 million worth.
There'll almost be a giddy optimism as this reconstruction effort takes off, and then it's going to end almost as abruptly after about 2 years, maybe 3 years.
Most of the homes will be rebuilt by then. Most of the furniture bought. People won't need to spend as much. So now is the best time to cash in. Ask Leo Brusky and the boys.
It's all there. The economy's rolling.
Money does grow in trees. Bob Dotson, NBC News, Miami.
When Nightly News continues, no classes on the first day of school in Detroit. And Robin Lloyd on a second chance for juvenile offenders, taught to sail and learning some lessons of life.
Come on, pull in. 2 a.m., 36 Pine Street. Apartment 4C has a backache and can't sleep. 3C overdid her afternoon workout and is paying the price. 2C had an aching back, but fortunately, she also has Tylenol PM with extra strength Tylenol pain reliever, plus a gentle ingredient to help her sleep. And a good night's sleep was all she needed to make her day a whole lot brighter. Tylenol PM, so you can rest easy.
After examining, testing, it's a fact. You can buy new Preparation H hydrocortisone cream with the maximum strength available without a prescription to relieve problem itch. New Preparation H hydrocortisone cream. Prescription strength without a prescription.
This is the time to use Ace Paint. Hey, Ace knows what it takes to make great paint because Ace makes its own. Ace Paint, top quality in every drop, guaranteed.
Ace 7-Star, their best interior flat latex, is just $10.97 a gallon.
Another reason Ace is a place for you.
The election is 9 weeks away, but Bill Clinton is campaigning as if there were no tomorrow. Today, Clinton targeted the South, and he took aim at George Bush as well, warning that the president would cut health care benefits. NBC's John Dancy has more.
Clinton told a group of the elderly today that Bush's promised but vague budget cuts would come out of their pockets.
If you're a millionaire, his budget gives you a capital gains cut that will generate $500,000 over the next 5 years. But if you're one of 30 million Americans who depend on Medicare, his budget makes you $2,000 poorer over the next 5 years.
Clinton based his figures on the White House budget director's so-called mid-session review of the budget, which spells out possible ways to cut the deficit. Skyrocketing government costs for Medicare and Medicaid are a problem for both candidates. Clinton says he would cut them by bringing down the price of health care generally, while Bush wants to limit Medicare growth to the rate of inflation. In effect, that would be a cut, since Medicare payments are growing faster than inflation. Bush has declined to endorse the cuts suggested by his budget director. That didn't stop Clinton using the document.
The new budget has the unkindest cut of all. It cuts benefits to disabled veterans by $10.3 billion over the next 4 years. That would slash benefits completely for 1.2 million disabled veterans.
Clinton also has gone on the air with a new television ad that attacks Bush, but only indirectly.
And that's what we need now. Change. Real solutions. Bill Clinton has an economic plan to rebuild America that invests...
Clinton jumped into national television first. Bush has not yet started running TV commercials. By going on the attack so early, Clinton hopes to define himself for the voters and at the same time cast doubt on George Bush. It's the same thing Bush did to Mike Dukakis in 1988. John Dancy, NBC News, with the Clinton campaign in Macon, Georgia.
Another economic issue, the cost of education. Students in the nation's 7th largest school district got an extended vacation today because of that crisis. Detroit schools were shut down, something neither the students nor their parents wanted. NBC's Fred Briggs in Detroit.
10,000 school teachers struck today, the first day of school in Detroit. Ostensibly, it was about pay. The teachers union wanted an 8% raise, a demand union president John Elliott made just before the strike deadline. The school board said no.
I believe that John Elliott's request last evening for an 8% pay increase was an act of economic aggression against our children.
Was it? Michigan teacher salaries are the 5th highest in the nation, and the average salary increase nationwide was a little over 3.5% last year. Detroit teachers earn 30% above the national teachers' average, but they make $20,000 less than teachers in Detroit suburbs. It's more than money, though. The union says it's about power.
The board representatives have told us repeatedly, if you don't get any agreement on any issue until we get what we want on empowerment.
Empowerment, giving the principal of each school much more control over hiring or firing of teachers, among other things.
I think it's a union-breaking scheme that's put on by the board's Republicans. And I think it is just a way of breaking down our contract little by little.
Beyond the issues of pay and power, there are 170,000 school children without any place to go. The Detroit NAACP is trying to do something about that.
If you're high school, raise your right hand.
It is setting up alternative schools around the city, which admittedly won't be able to accommodate all Detroit school children, but it's a stopgap.
All go in together.
We're not trying to break a strike. We're trying to only be a resource for the kids in the community.
The union and the school board met again today, and the board has gone to court seeking a back-to-work order. Fred Briggs, NBC News, Detroit.
In economic news today, a 6-day-old strike at a parts plant in Ohio has shut down a 5th General Motors plant, idling 30,000 workers. On Wall Street, stocks closed higher in moderate trading.
Before we ship a new Buick LeSabre, it must meet an international standard of excellence. If it fails to meet a single electrical check, if the aim of the headlight isn't true, if the seams are not measured to the millimeter, we don't ship it. So if you buy a Buick LeSabre for its quality, you won't be missing the boat, even though it doesn't come by boat.
Vittorio! Ciao! You may not be aware that Boboli Italian bread shell is made with fresh mozzarella and Parmesan cheeses, garlic and imported olive oil.
Oh, it fills my heart with joy to see you eat so well.
Mamma, when you add things like chicken and fresh vegetables...
More broccoli, Vittorio.
You have created your own magnificent pizza in just 8 minutes, huh? Crispy outside, soft inside.
Eat, mangia.
Remember, only you can top Boboli.
But don't eat so fast.
Are annual credit card fees sending you through the roof? Carry the card that charges no annual fee and stay on firm financial ground. It pays to discover.
There's a certain itch that's so private, most people will only discuss it with their doctor. Fortunately, now you can get new Anusol HC1 ointment. Over the counter, with the same prescription strength doctors have prescribed most.
On America Close Up tonight, Los Alamos, birthplace of the atomic bomb. Over the years, large quantities of radioactive waste have been dumped in that area, and now some residents are suing. They claim the dumping has given them cancer. Many of the nation's 12 nuclear defense plants have severe environmental problems. 3 have been shut down. NBC's science correspondent Robert Bazell reports tonight from Los Alamos.
Shawnee Mills Garrison moved to Los Alamos, New Mexico in 1982 with her son Bud. Her daughter Bonnie, who was born in Los Alamos, had a peculiar habit.
She was always eating dirt, and she would prefer to eat dirt rather than Oreo cookie, chocolate chip cookie. She would give the cookies to the dog, and she'd eat dirt.
The dirt Bonnie ate was near the Los Alamos National Laboratory. Scientists made the first atomic bombs in Los Alamos during World War II. Since then, the laboratory has designed nuclear weapons. Although the amounts are in dispute, officials admit that over the years the laboratory has released radiation into the air and dumped it on the ground of the surrounding town, which now has 18,000 residents. Bonnie developed brain cancer.
She had 2 brain tumors within a span of 14 months. And she was 3.5 years old when she died. And she went through hell, as we all did.
Kimberly Lujan also developed brain cancer. She got it when she was a year old and lived for 20 years, severely handicapped physically and mentally. Kimberly's mother, Sonia, and others think there is an excess of cancer in Los Alamos due to the lab.
I'm morally absolutely certain that that's what happened to Kimberly.
There is no way to know whether the lab's waste caused any one tumor. But Los Alamos County has the highest death rate from childhood cancers in New Mexico, almost twice the statewide average. To find out just how serious the problem is, federal and state health officials are planning an extensive investigation of the cancer incidence here. Meanwhile, lab officials say from their monitoring of soil and air, they find no evidence of radiation levels that would pose a health threat. Dr. James Jackson is deputy director of the lab.
I have a high level of confidence that it's a clean and safe place to live.
But Dr. David Nuckumson is not so certain. He is part of the unit at the lab that monitors radioactive emissions into the air. And he says the lab doesn't do it right.
When you're working with very dangerous materials like plutonium and many other radioactive materials, you really need to know. They really don't know what they're emitting into the atmosphere, and they're underestimating their emissions.
Recently, in anticipation of a Department of Energy inspection, the lab officials wrote a self-assessment document. It admits that the lab has not met Energy Department rules concerning radioactive waste disposal. And it says the lab has an attitude of arrogance and complacency about environmental safety and health. Do you see any conflict between your accusing yourselves of complacency and assuring the public that everything is safe at the same time?
I don't. It was a document that concentrated on the 10% of the glass that was empty, not the 90% that was full. The 90% that was full still gives us a good, solid basis to feel comfortable.
The Lujan and Garrison families and those of several other children and adults who got cancer after living in Los Alamos are suing the lab. Their lawyers believe they will find evidence that the lab has put much more radiation into the environment than it admits. Robert Bazell, NBC News, Los Alamos.
On America Close Up tomorrow, Mike Jensen on what to expect for jobs and the economy.
Ladies and gentlemen, feast your eyes on the elegant J30. A classic luxury sedan in an Infiniti kind of way. A driver's car with 2 airbags, soft leather appointments, and tasty wood. Hey, pal, don't you even think about it. The Infiniti J30 luxury sedan.
I'm sorry, we're out.
Dear Thompson's, when the store ran out of Thompson's water seal, we reluctantly finished our deck with another brand.
What a mistake. The Thompson side beat it up in the rain.
The other side, nothing.
The one on the left? Even the clerk agreed. Nothing works like Thompson's.
Sincerely, Blair and Becky Jones.
Charlotte, North Carolina.
Now from Thompson's, this free applicator spreads a gallon in 10 minutes, delivers just the right amount for complete, even coverage. A $3.99 value, yours free with these special packages.
State finals coming up. A lot of pressure to win. I don't eat right, I get irregular, so I don't project a winning attitude, and the boys see that. I tried some natural bulk fiber, but I couldn't take all that grit. Then I discovered Sunrise Smooth Metamucil. No grit in the mix or the taste. Easy to get the extra fiber I need every day to stay regular. You got a winning attitude, you win, if you're lucky.
Metamucil, and you could stay regular for the rest of your life.
A recent university study confirms something that has millions of asthma sufferers breathing easier. Clinical tests showed Primatene tablets help keep asthma sufferers breathing freely for hours. Primatene tablets, with the asthma reliever doctors recommend.
For painful gas, which would you choose? Your antacid or Gas-X, the tablet made for gas? It's extra strength, 100% simethicone to fight gas faster. Faster than your antacid. Fight gas right with Gas-X.
Here's a quick check now of some of today's other news. White separatist Randy Weaver was arraigned in Idaho on weapons charges. Weaver surrendered Monday after an 11-day siege of his cabin that left his wife, son, and a deputy U.S. Marshal dead. A patched-up Queen Elizabeth II left Boston after $5 million in temporary repairs. The QE2 hit an uncharted reef off Cape Cod last month. Next stop, Germany, and a permanent fix-up. The Bush administration is reported to be near a decision to sell billions of dollars in fighter bombers, 150 F-16s to Taiwan, and 72 of these F-15s to Saudi Arabia. Also in the capital today, there was cautious optimism as the second week of Mideast peace talks got underway. Syria and Israel exchanged views on the strategic Golan Heights, but not everyone is happy with that development. NBC's Martin Fletcher is in Tel Aviv.
It's long been a battlefield, but for the first time today, Syria and Israel exchanged almost friendly words about the disputed Golan Heights, land over which they fought 2 wars. Syria described the atmosphere of the Washington peace talks as reasonable. Israel said the Syrians presented, quote, elements that we like. And the U.S. official described this as a, quote, quantum leap forward. A giant step backwards is how many Jewish settlers see it. Shmuel Ben Ishai is an extreme right-winger who's determined to keep right on building his home on the occupied West Bank, regardless of government peace plans.
Of course I'll fight. I know lots of people that are willing to fight and to kill and to die for this area.
His anger is a measure of how serious the Israeli government is about giving up this land. Polls show a majority of Israelis support land for peace. Another measure, property prices on the West Bank are collapsing. It was Israel's new Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin who gave the peace talks a great push forwards when he told Israelis they could give up some of the occupied lands, but only for peace, and that's still a long way off.
I'm not convinced yet that Syria is ready to say yes to a fully fledged peace treaty with Israel.
Maybe not, but Rabin's left-wing partners in government swear they'll push him all the way to peace with the Palestinians.
That's exactly our role, to keep him within the line, to keep him go forward, straight forward, and meet the Palestinians and not giving up.
It doesn't amount to much, the first positive noises in 25 years, but Arab and Israeli negotiators agree. Although the road to peace will be a long, long haul, the first steps have been taken. Martin Fletcher, NBC News, Tel Aviv.
When nightly news continues, trading the big house for the bounding main.
shredded wheat. It's just good stuff.
The makers of Dimetap know it's important for allergy and cold sufferers to trust their medication. Doctors and pharmacists have trusted the Dimetap brand for safe, effective relief for 30 years. You can trust Dimetap Extend tabs for 12 hours of allergy relief. And if you're concerned about drowsiness, Dimetap contains one of the least sedating, non-prescription antihistamines. Trust Dimetap, the #1 doctor-recommended antihistamine decongestant non-prescription formula.
Hot breakfast idea. Smucker's Peach Preserves on cereal. Especially good because jams are less than 20 calories and naturally fat-free. A real man's breakfast. With a name like Smucker's, it has to be good.
It begins at dawn. They've come for you. And they want what you have. It's your bed, your Serta Perfect Sleeper. But it's the most comfortable spot in the house. The Serta surface and support only Serta builds in makes it that way. So if it gets a little late for breakfast, there's always brunch. Is it any wonder people are saying, I want my Serta?
It's night and day the difference Correctol makes when I'm irregular. Correctol is the gentlewoman's laxative that works predictably overnight. No wonder more women trust it. Correctol, gently, predictably, overnight.
Back in the golden age of exploration, ship captains often recruited at the local jail. They got their crews, and the criminals got a chance to breathe the salty air of freedom. NBC's Robin Lloyd has a modern twist on that ancient tradition.
Let the staysail go. Staysail, main staysail, take care of itself. Just deal with the head sail.
Remember Mutiny on the Bounty?
Get him up tight and tie him off.
The infamous Captain Bligh who gave one too many orders for an angry crew to tolerate?
All right, I'm going to come around. I'm going to drop it off a little bit. I'm going to hit it hard, and we're coming over. We're running out of water. Wrap up the halyards a little bit there. Get the deck cleaned up.
Meet Captain Ken Henry, a former Navy man. He may be no Captain Bligh, but he loves giving orders, which his young crew don't seem to like. They're all juvenile offenders from Maryland. 14-year-old Jason was picked up for shoplifting. 13-year-old Robbie for vandalism. 12-year-old Jermaine got into too many fights.
Drop the sails.
Nearly 50 of these kids are being taught to sail in small groups this summer as part of a privately funded pilot project to help young first-time offenders. They eat and sleep on board, and they follow strict rules.
Shore leave's been granted. If you don't have any goals in life and if you don't have any disciplines in life, you can't get any place, because life is essentially, I believe, is built on disciplines. And that's what we try to teach these kids.
That means sleeping quarters are kept tidy, the galley clean, and the decks washed. It's no picnic.
You have to scrub the deck. We already did it.
They did.
Don't argue with me. You got to scrub the deck.
After a week out here on the water, most of these kids know the difference between starboard and port, the boat's bow and stern. But juvenile justice officials hope they're learning a lot more than just basic nautical skills. Like cooperation, how to work closely with a group and accomplish something together.
Was it better than you expected?
Yeah, it was a lot better. I thought it was just going to be boring.
I think it's real good because we get educated on it and everything, and just we learn a lot and learn responsibility.
Here we go. Get her out. Get her off. Come on, pull it in. When the sails stretch out and bellow out and the boat starts to heel over, it's just an excitement for them. You have their fullest attention, and it's just working magic.
Magic that Captain Bligh never had, but Captain Henry seems to as he tries to reach out to kids who have strayed off course. Robin Lloyd, NBC News on the Chesapeake.
That's Nightly News for this Tuesday. I'm Stone Phillips. A reminder, NBC will carry the President's address on hurricane relief efforts tonight at 9 Eastern Time. And join Jane Pauley and me for the latest on the hurricane and more on Dateline. See you then.
Just ahead on your 24-hour news source, the body of a female found in southwest Missouri. Illinois State Police are involved in the investigation.
A massive cleanup here at a power plant in Pleasant Hill of a toxic chemical spill. I'm Kathy Saltero. I'll have a live report.
Former Iowan Randy Weaver in federal court today facing charges in his Idaho standoff with U.S. Marshals.
A medical mystery in the hallways of the Polk County Courthouse. It's already forced the closing of one office. We'll tell you why.
These stories plus the latest on Central Iowa hurricane relief efforts all coming up next.
Keep your roof in top shape with the Cool Seal system from Menards. First, patch cracks with reinforcing fabric and patching cement. Then Cool Seal roof coating forms a blanket of protection, starting at $12.88 a gallon. And save on Manville fiberglass insulation. For a limited time, get extra savings with Manville rebates, like R11 Unfaced for just $4.99 a roll. Save a bundle on your projects at Menards.
Save big money at Menards.
It's coming to an end very soon. The Olive Garden Summer in Sicily menu. Don't miss our special pastas and luscious summer salads. Dive into our cold, refreshing summer drinks one last time. Delight in these mouth-watering summer dishes while you still can. Hurry in and enjoy the final days of our Summer in Sicily menu now. Because while the Olive Garden will always be here, the Summer in Sicily menu won't.
There's a thin line between life and death for road construction workers and for you. Last year, 8 people died in road work zones, and 6 of them were in motor vehicles. Watch for the orange signs and watch for the other traffic. A little bit of caution now will let them get their jobs done, and we'll all be around to enjoy it later.
Live from WHO TV 13, where the news comes first 24 hours a day. John Bachman, Kim Kerrigan, Rick Silvestrini with sports, and meteorologist Gary Amble with the weather. This is News Center 13 at 6.
Dressed in protective clothing, cleanup crews began to tackle the largest spill of toxic chemicals in the history of Midwest power. We'll have more on that story in just a moment, but first a breaking story. A female body found in Sarcoxie, Missouri. That's in southwest Missouri. Illinois State Police are involved in the investigation now. Of course, the fears are that this body may be that of Tammy Zawicki, missing from Grinnell College student that she is, missing for more than a week now. The body that was found, as auburn hair, green eyes was the description, wearing a blue T-shirt and shorts, and the body was found again in southwest Missouri, aged 20 to 25, 5'2", 120 pounds. Again, Illinois State Police are only investigating at this point this body that has been found.
Moments ago, we spoke with Larry Ray, a sheriff's deputy in the Lawrence County Sheriff's Department. He told us this about the finding.
Okay, the body of a young white female was found along the roadside in western Lawrence County this morning shortly after 10 a.m. Officers were summoned to the westbound on-ramp of I-44 at the 33-mile marker after a motorist noticed an object wrapped in a red blanket along the road, several feet into the grass. A state trooper responded and found the blanket did contain a body, and investigators from the Missouri Highway Patrol and the Lawrence County Sheriff's Office, the departments responded. The body appeared to be that of a white female in her late teens or early 20s, light auburn hair, 5'2" to 5'4", small build. She was wearing a light blue T-shirt with the white lettering East Side Eagles Soccer. She was wearing the blue cut-off sweatpants on which were sewn round emblems with the initials GCRC. She was wearing white athletic socks, but no shoes. The victim bore numerous stab wounds in the chest. The body appeared to have been there a few days. Teletype messages have been sent nationwide to law enforcement agencies in an attempt to locate the source of the body, which investigators feel was probably dumped along I-44 after being killed at another location. So far, no identification has been made. This is authority of Lawrence County Sheriff's Department, Mount Vernon, Missouri.
Again, there's no confirmation at all that this is the body of Tammy Zawicki, but Illinois police are involved in this investigation then.
Of course, we'll continue to follow this story. We'll have more for you later in this newscast if that information is available, and of course more coming up on News Center 13 tonight at 10 o'clock.
Our other top story tonight, the multi-million-dollar cleanup at the Pleasant Hill plant started late this afternoon.
Officials say specialists have been called in to remove the toxic PCBs. Midwestern Power said contractors working at the idle plant spilled more than 600 gallons of oil containing PCBs. Officials said they first were made aware of the spill in January, more than a month following the alleged incident. Midwest Power has filed suit against the contractors to repay the cost of that cleanup. And the cleanup cost is expected to run power companies more than $3 million.